Welcome back to the channel, everyone. In today's video, we're digging into one of the most talked about coins in recent years, the 1965 Washington quarter. This coin has been circulating for decades, but all of a sudden, people are asking a big question. Could this quarter really be worth $2.9 million? Rarest coins, that's the headline you've probably seen going around. A 1965 quarter supposedly sold for nearly $3 million. It sounds unbelievable, right? Well, today, we're going to take a close look at this coin's actual history, its real-world value, what collectors look for, and of course, we're going to find out if that multi-million-dollar price tag has any truth to it. Let's get started. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It features the iconic profile of Washington on the obverse, or front side, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Now fast forward to 1965, and here's where things get really interesting. The year 1965 marked a major turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. Up until 1964, quarters were made of 90% silver. But in 1965, the United States Mint stopped using silver in circulating quarters altogether. Due to rising silver prices and a growing coin shortage, the Mint began producing quarters using a copper-nickel-clad composition. That's what most of us are used to seeing today, a copper core with a nickel coating on both sides. So if you're holding a 1965 quarter, it's most likely one of these new clad coins, not silver. And just how many of these were made? A lot. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 1.8 billion 1965 Washington quarters. Yes, billion with a B. That makes the regular 1965 quarter one of the most common coins of its time. So, under normal conditions, a 1965 quarter that you find in your change is worth exactly what it says, 25 cents. Even if it's in decent shape, most 1965 quarters hold very little collector value due to how many were made. But here's where things start to get interesting. In the transition from silver to clad coinage, the Mint was going through some big changes. During this period, some errors slipped through the cracks. There are rare instances where quarters dated 1965 were accidentally struck on 1964 silver planchets. That means, instead of being copper-nickel clad, these few error coins were struck on the old 90% silver blanks. These are known as transitional errors. If you happen to find a 1965 quarter that weighs more than normal, about 6.25 grams instead of the standard 5.67, that could be a sign it's one of those silver error coins. These errors are incredibly rare. Only a handful have ever been authenticated by professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC. And yes, these silver 1965 quarters can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. Some have sold for over $7,000, $10,000, and even higher depending on the grade and the buyer's interest. So, now let's talk about the claim that a 1965 Washington quarter sold for $2.9 million. Is that real? Here's the truth. There is no verifiable public auction or record from any major grading service or auction house showing that a 1965 quarter has ever sold for anything remotely close to that number. No listing from Heritage Auctions, no record from Stack's Bowers, no PCGS certified multi-million-dollar sale. The story is, unfortunately, a viral internet myth. The origin of this claim likely comes from exaggerated headlines or fake articles that spread across social media. People love the idea that they might have a fortune sitting in their pocket change, and websites know that. So they create sensational stories that get clicks, shares, and comments, even if the facts don't add up. Now, could a 1965 quarter ever be worth a lot of money? Yes, but under very specific circumstances. A silver transitional error quarter in near-perfect uncirculated condition, graded at a very high mint state level, maybe MS67 or higher, could sell for tens of thousands at a major auction. That's rare, but it's real, and there's also the possibility of other mint errors. You might come across a 1965 quarter with a double die, an off-center strike, a clipped planchet, or a broad strike. These kinds of mint errors can bring in additional value, usually ranging from a few dollars to a few $100s, depending on the rarity and visual appeal. Another thing collectors look for is full drum lines on the reverse side, or strong strike details in high grade. These aren't errors, but they do help boost the value of the coin in the right conditions. Still, Even in the most extreme cases, the highest auction sales for a 1965 quarter top out around $12,000 to $16,000. Not millions, that is. Oh, let's recap what we've learned. The 1965 Washington quarter was the first clad quarter ever issued, marking the end of the silver era. It's historically significant, but extremely common. Most of these coins are worth only 25 cents. However, a tiny number of 1,965 quarters were mistakenly struck on silver planchets meant for 1964 coins. These transitional era quarters are very rare and can be worth thousands of dollars. But the idea that a 1965 quarter sold for $2.9 million is simply not true. There's no verified sale, no graded example, and no collector or expert who has confirmed that number. It's a rumor that exploded online, but it doesn't hold up under real scrutiny. That being said, it's always worth checking your change. You never know what kind of coin might show up. We've seen incredible finds come out of everyday pocket change. Just make sure you separate fact from fiction. Always verify with reliable coin grading services, check auction house records, and don't let hype cloud your judgment. If you think you found a special coin, especially a 1965 quarter that looks or feels different, weigh it. If it's over 6 grams, it might be silver. Get it checked by a professional. And if it's a high-grade, uncirculated coin, consider getting it certified. That's the only way to truly unlock its value. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope this helped clear up some of the confusion and gave you a better understanding of what makes the 1965 quarter both fascinating and misunderstood. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell for notifications on our latest uploads. We'll be covering more coin values, rare finds, and coin collecting tips in future videos. Have you ever found a 1965 quarter in your change that looked unusual? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep checking your change, stay curious, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like this script adapted for a short version, podcast format, or split into chapters with visual instructions for editing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into a coin that's been making waves in the collector community and even showing up in viral headlines. The 1987 Washington quarter. You might have seen videos or articles claiming that this particular coin could be worth as much as $2.3 million. That's right, $2.3 million for a single quarter. But is there any truth to that? What's the real story behind the 1987 quarter? What makes it interesting to collectors? And could yours really be worth a fortune? Let's get into the full history, the facts, the myths, and what you really need to look for when you come across one of these coins. First off, let's talk about the basics of the 1987 Washington quarter. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which you can identify by the small D mint mark located on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. The 1987 quarters continued the classic design by John Flanagan that was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. In 1987, the Denver Mint produced over 655 million of these quarters. That's a massive number, and it immediately tells us one thing. These coins are not rare in terms of mintage. In fact, they are extremely common. Most people in the United States have probably held a 1987 quarter at some point without even realizing it. So how does a coin like that end up in the headlines for being worth millions? Before we get to that, let's look at the real value of a standard 1987 quarter. If you find one in your pocket change that has been circulating for years, the value is pretty straightforward. It's worth 25 cents. Just its face value. In average circulated condition, these coins are everywhere. However, if you find a coin that has never been in circulation, a brilliant uncirculated example, or even one that has been professionally graded at a high mint state level, then we're talking about some added value. For example, a 1987 quarter graded MS65 by a major grading service like PCGS or NGC could be worth between $5 and $10, depending on the coin market and demand at the time. If the coin is graded MS66 or MS67, the value climbs further. In fact, a 1987 quarter graded MS67 has sold at auction for several $100s. The highest known sale for this coin in top condition has reached upwards of $600. That's still a far cry from $2.3 million, but it shows that condition and rarity at the top end of the grading scale can matter a lot. Now, what really gets collectors excited is not just condition but errors. That's where things get interesting. Some 1987 D quarters have been found with mint errors like double die strikes, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and broad strikes. Depending on the severity and visibility of the error, some of these coins can be worth $20, $50, or in rare cases over $100. If the error is dramatic enough and unique, a coin like that could be even more valuable at auction. But again, nowhere near $2 million to So where did this idea of the $2.3 million 1987 D quarter come from? Like many viral coin stories, it appears to have started as an internet rumor, possibly boosted by misleading headlines or clickbait videos. The idea of finding a fortune in your pocket change is exciting, and it spreads fast. Some content creators on social media or YouTube may take rare coin auction stories and blend them with popular coins to drive engagement. And once those stories take off, people start believing that a common quarter they found in a drawer could be their lottery ticket. But here's the truth. There is no confirmed record from any reputable coin auction house of a 1987 D Washington quarter selling for anything close to $2.3 million. Not at heritage auctions, not at Stack's Bowers, not at Great Collections, not even close. The most valuable quarter to ever sell at auction was a 1796 draped bust quarter, and that brought in hundreds of thousands, not millions. So the idea that a modern clad quarter from 1987 could hit that number is, simply put, a myth. That said, not all hope is lost. If you have a 1987 D quarter, it is still worth checking. Flip it over. Look for any signs of doubling in the lettering. Look for any off-center strike. Examine the rim to see if it has been clipped or misaligned. Use a magnifier or jeweler's loupe to check for die cracks, cuds, or other minting anomalies. These small imperfections can increase the value of a coin significantly for collectors of error coins. And if you believe your coin might be in exceptional condition or may contain a valuable error, it's worth having it graded by a professional grading company. Keep in mind, though, that grading a coin costs money, so it only makes sense if you have reason to believe the value will outweigh the grading So let's bring this all together. The 1987 D Washington quarter is a coin with a rich history, but it is also one of the most common coins in circulation. Its base value is 25 cents. Uncirculated or high-grade examples can be worth a few dollars to several $100s in rare cases. Error coins may carry additional value depending on the nature of the error. But the idea that this coin is worth $2.3 million? That's a fantasy. There is no factual basis for that claim. It's a classic example of internet hype outpacing reality. That said, coin collecting is still a rewarding and exciting hobby. And sometimes, even small finds can be surprisingly valuable. The key is to stay informed, do your research, and separate fact from fiction. And hopefully, this video helped clear things up for you. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. We explore coin values, debunk myths, and share real stories from the world of numismatics. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a 1987 D quarter and what condition it was in. Who knows, you might just have a hidden gem. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you'd like the same script tailored for voiceover narration, with pacing tips or visual suggestions for editing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're taking a closer look at a coin that's recently been the subject of some serious hype, the 1995 D Washington quarter. Rarest coins. You may have come across some pretty wild claims online. Headlines saying this quarter sold for $2.2 million. That's right, a 25-cent coin supposedly worth over $2 million. Sounds crazy, right? Well, today we're going to find out what's fact, what's fiction, and what you really need to know about the 1995 D quarter. We'll go over its history, its value in the real world, what rare errors to look for, and the truth behind that multi-million-dollar price tag. Let's dive in. First things first, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1995 D quarter is part of the Washington quarter series, which began back in 1932. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, it features the familiar bust of George Washington on the front and the eagle on the reverse, a design that continued until the state quarters began in 1999. The D Mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was produced. In 1995, the Denver Mint struck more than 1 billion Washington quarters. That's right, over 1 billion. That instantly tells us something important. The 1995 D quarter is not rare by itself. In fact, it's one of the more common coins from that decade. If you have one in your pocket right now, and it's been in circulation, its value is most likely just 25 cents. Maybe slightly more if it's in excellent condition, but not much beyond that. So where is this $2.2 million story coming from? We'll get to that. But before we bust the myth, let's understand what actually can make a 1995 D quarter worth real money. When it comes to coins, collectors pay close attention to condition, rarity, and errors. Let's start with condition. Most quarters in circulation have scratches, dings, and wear from everyday use. But if you happen to find a 1995 D quarter in mint condition, meaning it was never used and looks just like it came from the mint, then it might be worth a few bucks. A coin graded MS65, which stands for Mint State 65, can bring in around $5 to $10. At MS66, maybe $20 to $40. And if it reaches MS67, it might sell for $100 to $300 or more, depending on the demand. The highest grades known for this coin, such as MS68, are very hard to find, but they do exist. One example of a 1995 D quarter in near-perfect condition sold for just under $1,000 at auction. That's impressive, but still nowhere near $2 million. So what else can raise the value of a coin like this? The answer is mint errors. Mint errors happen during the production process and can result in unusual coins that collectors love. For example, a 1995 D quarter struck off-center, where part of the design is missing or shifted, can be worth anywhere from $50 to $200 depending on how dramatic the error is. Another known error is a die crack, where part of the die used to strike the coin has a fracture, creating raised lines or lumps on the coin's surface. These errors don't always bring in huge money, but some rare die breaks, sometimes called cuds, can fetch higher prices. And then there's the possibility of wrong planchet errors. That's when a quarter is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another coin, like a dime or foreign coin. These types of errors are extremely rare, but can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars if authenticated. Now let's go back to that viral claim that a 1995 D quarter sold for $2.2 million. That here's the truth. There is no credible record of a 1995 D quarter selling for that amount. No official auction listing, no grading certification, and no recognized coin dealer has verified such a sale. The $2.2 million story appears to be just another internet myth, fueled by clickbait videos and social media posts designed to go viral. That it's not the first time we've seen this. Similar stories have popped up about 1987 quarters, 1965 quarters, even 2004 nickels. They all follow the same pattern. Someone posts a video or article with an outrageous claim, and people start searching through their change, hoping for a miracle. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with checking your coins. In fact, you should. Because while your 1995 D quarter probably isn't worth millions, it might still have value. And for collectors, finding a rare variety or error is a big part of the fun.so. What should you actually look for if you want to find a valuable 1995 D quarter? First, check the condition. The shinier and more flawless it looks, the better. If it looks like it just came out of a mint set, that's a good sign. Second, look for errors. That includes anything that looks off, missing details, doubled letters, strange shapes on the rim, unusual weight or thickness, or anything that just doesn't look right. And third, if you think you found something special, don't guess. Weigh the coin and consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and assign a grade, which is the only way to truly know what it's worth on the collector's market. Let's sum it up. The 1995 D Washington quarter is a common coin from the modern era with over 1 billion minted. In circulated condition, it's worth 25 cents. In mint state, it could be worth a few dollars to several $100s, especially at high grades. Rare mint errors can push that value even higher, sometimes over $1,000. But the idea that this coin is worth $2.2 million? That's a myth. There is no verified sale at that amount, and no coin expert or auction house has confirmed it. Still, coin collecting is full of surprises. Rare finds do happen. But the best way to increase your chances is to know what you're looking for, stay informed, and enjoy the process. If you learned something new today, or if you've ever come across a strange or valuable coin in your change, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. We've got more coin breakdowns, collecting tips, and truth bombs coming your way. Thanks for watching, keep checking your change, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you want this script turned into a shorter version, formatted for a voiceover, or split into sections for visual cues and editing. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're talking about a coin that's been stirring up quite a bit of buzz on social media lately, the 1993 D Washington quarter. You may have heard that this quarter sold for an unbelievable $2.1 million, $0.2 million for a 25-cent coin. That kind of headline spreads fast. But is it true? Could you have a fortune hiding in your pocket change? In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the story of the 1993 D quarter. We'll look at its real history, how much it's actually worth, what collectors look for, and whether or not the $2.1 million rumor has any truth behind it. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the coin itself. The 1993 D Washington quarter was minted at the Denver Mint, which is what the D stands for. It continues the same design that had been in use since 1932. The portrait of George Washington on the front, designed by John Flanagan, and the eagle on the reverse side, the BY 1993. The quarter was made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, which had been standard since 1965. That means there's no silver in this coin. It has a copper core and a nickel coating, and it weighs about 5.67 grams. Now let's look at the numbers. In 1993, the Denver Mint produced over 645 million of these quarters. That's a massive mintage, which means this coin is not rare by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, most 1993 D quarters are still out there in circulation today. You can find them in your spare change, in a coin jar, or stuck between couch cushions. So what does that tell us about value? In average circulated condition, a 1993 D quarter is worth exactly what it says, 25 cents. That's the reality for the majority of these coins. But what about coins that are in really good condition? If you find a 1993 D quarter that has never been used and still looks brand new, that's called an uncirculated coin. These coins can be worth more to collectors. A 1993 D quarter in mint state condition, graded MS-65 or higher by a professional grading service, might be worth between $5 and $20. In MS-66 or MS-67, the value could go higher, possibly into the $50 to $100 range or a little more, depending on the market. The most pristine examples, coins graded MS-68, which are extremely rare, have sold at auction for several $100s. One of the highest recorded auction prices for a 1993 D Washington quarter in perfect condition is just under $1,000. That's impressive, but it is still a far cry from $2.1 million. So where is this multi-million-dollar story coming from? The claim that a 1993 D quarter sold for over $2 million appears to be part of a trend we've seen all over the internet. Someone posts an exaggerated or completely fake story about a modern coin being worth a fortune, and it spreads like wildfire. People get excited, they check their change, and videos or articles go viral. Even if the story has no actual evidence behind it, there is no official auction record, no grading certification, and no documentation from any major auction house or coin expert to support the idea that a 1993 D quarter has ever sold for anywhere near $2 million. So no, a regular 1993 D quarter is not worth $2.1 million. But that does not mean it's not worth checking your coins. Because in the world of numismatics, there are always exceptions, and there are some coins out there that truly are worth money. Let's talk about what actually could make a 1993 D quarter valuable. The first thing to look for is condition. The highest value coins are always the ones in the best shape. If you come across a quarter that looks like it just left the mint, no scratches, no wear, strong details, it might be worth getting graded. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. The second thing to look for is mint errors. These are coins that were misstruck at the mint, and some of them can be quite valuable. For example, a 1993 D quarter with an off-center strike, a double die, or one that was struck on the wrong planchet could be worth significantly more than face valued AN off-center strike, where the design is visibly shifted to one side. Might be worth 50 to a few $100s depending on how severe the error is. A double die error, where parts of the coin's design are duplicated due to a die issue, could also add value. These types of errors must be authenticated by a grading service, but they are out there. There are even extremely rare cases where coins are struck on planchets intended for foreign coins or struck using mismatched dies. These types of major mint errors can sometimes fetch thousands at auction. So yes, while a regular 1993 D quarter is common and worth just a quarter, the rare error coins or ultra-high-grade specimens can be worth real money. So what's the takeaway here? The 1993 D Washington quarter is a modern, mass-produced coin with hundreds of millions made. In everyday condition, it is worth 25 cents. In mint state, it might be worth a few dollars. In top condition, possibly hundreds. And if it has a rare mint error, maybe even more. But the idea that one of these coins sold for $2.1 million? That's nothing more than a myth. There is no verifiable record of such a sale and no reason to believe it ever happened. That said, coin collecting is full of surprises. Valuable finds do happen, but it takes knowledge, patience, and a good eye. So keep checking your change, learn what to look for, and stay curious. Who knows? You just might come across something special one day. If you found this video helpful or interesting, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into rare coins, values, collecting tips, and myth-busting videos just like this one. And let me know in the comments, have you ever found a 1993 D quarter that looked a little strange? Maybe you've got one in mint condition. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version, timestamps for editing, or suggestions for visuals to pair with each part of the script.